our virtual audience for taking the time out of their busy day to learn more about building infrastructure resilience and building a better future for Miami-Dade County during this important United for Infrastructure Week. My name is Hardeep Anand, and I serve as the Deputy Director here at the Miami-Dade Water and Sewer Department, along 2,800 other employees who I like to call One Water Ambassadors. And I have the privilege and the honor today to serve as the moderator of today's conversation with our distinguished panel of experts. I'd like to take this opportunity to first introduce our Honorable Mayor, Miami-Dade County Mayor, and who we call very fondly as our water warrior, Madam Daniella Levine Cava. I'm also joined by our first Chief Bay Officer, our water princess, Irela Begay. And congratulations, Jane, our first Chief Heat Officer, Jane Gilbert, who I've had the pleasure to work with in a former role as the Chief Resilience Officer of the City of Miami. As a civil engineer and a water industry professional, infrastructure resilience and the concept of One Water resilience are topics extremely important to my line of work. So I'd like to start this conversation with a question for our Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, can you share your long-term vision for an equitable, sustainable One Water future for Miami-Dade County?
Thank you so very much, Hardeep, and welcome to everyone listening to this important conversation. And we have certainly a great panel of women leaders, let's just point out here, with Hardeep as well. We appreciate you. I want to say that I first learned about this concept of One Water really with Hardeep. Hardeep, thank you for helping me to understand this. But it was my niece, when she was attending graduate school at University of Miami Rosenstiel, that explained to me the interplay of the Everglades, sea level rise, saltwater intrusion into our drinking water. And I became very passionate to address this concern, is how I dubbed myself a water warrior. So we know that water, a very small percentage of our water is fresh. Most of it is salty. And we know we have a fixed amount of water, really, that recirculates. And so all water matters. The drinking water, our wastewater, our stormwater, our gray water, it all matters and needs to be managed holistically. So we should not be flushing away our future fresh water. We need to do everything in our power to develop holistic and sustainable practices. This will build strong economies, it will build vibrant communities, healthy environments. So we are all dependent upon how we handle our water. And it also intersects all of our infrastructure. So our schools, our hospitals, airports, seaports, of course, we're all dependent upon this water. So we have, for example, 1,000 miles of canals in our county, managed by different enterprises, South Florida Water Management District, but also the county. Maybe some cities, I don't know, have some responsibility. And we know that the septic systems are also a key part of this equation, and we've all heard and understand the fragility of that system and how we must address it and move to sewer. Just this week, Pinecrest voted to move to water utility with the county. So, you know, people are making moves. We have received some state funding to help us, and we're anticipating getting more and federal funding as well. So my vision for how we're going to pull this all together is through our Chief Bay Officer on that front, our Chief Heat Officer on that front, the integration of our water utility, our resilience office, our planning department, and our environmental regulation division. So all of those working together, and as well, even what happens at our ports. So I'm so delighted that we're moving forward with shore power at the Port of Miami. We received a $2 million grant announcement recently to move us forward to shore power. And we already have an agreement with Florida Power and Light on reclaimed water, and we want to enhance it. So that's all in my plan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'll just pose a quick follow-up question, because I know your schedule is extremely hectic. And so just to follow up on that, you talked about green, gray, blue infrastructure, and you talked about connecting the dots with our first Chief Bay Officer and the Chief Heat Officer, which I'll get to in a minute as well. All of this infrastructure development is going to take a workforce, building a workforce for the present and for the future. What should we be doing to engage, to prepare, and to develop this workforce that will carry this mantle forward?
Yeah, thank you. Great point. I've been talking about infrastructure as economic development. We're very hopeful that there'll be a big package out of the federal government as well. And certainly yesterday, I believe it was, the governor announced the Resilience Fund, and our Chief Resilience Officer, Jim Murley, was on hand for that announcement. So that plus the septic to sewer conversion, and we're already undertaking the largest infrastructure project in the history of Florida, between the federal consent decree and the rebuilding of the sewer system and the reuse water that we have to develop to prevent the ocean outfall. So we have all of that underway. These require jobs. These are local jobs. And we have apprenticeship programs that we need to double down on. And part of my economic development strategy, Renew 305, is to really assure those pipelines. So we're talking with the superintendent, we're with CareerSource, everything we can do to move our residents forward into these skilled employment opportunities, as well as all the professional jobs that come with it, the engineering, the architecture, design work, and so on.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Irela, the next question is for you. And you have been living and breathing and eating everything related to Biscayne Bay. And you've long served as a policymaker, and you've got an accomplished career with respect to the work you do. And I'd like to call the Bay as your baby, right? The Bay is a living thing, and you've strongly advocated for a lot of work. And it takes a lot of connections and the recommendations that you made along with the rest of the team for the Biscayne Bay Task Force report. I think it's only pertinent to ask you, how do you see your challenges and your aspirations for the Bay to come together? And please share your vision moving forward. And how can we use natural and man-made infrastructure to get there?
Well, thank you, Hardeep. And the Bay is everybody's baby.
True.
But yes, you know, I've long been an advocate, and I've been working on water management issues for quite some time. And I'm so pleased to be serving back in Miami-Dade County under this great administration that's really put the environment top on the agenda. And so we have a lot of work to do. And there's no question that gray and green infrastructure will play a big role in the recovery of the Biscayne Bay watershed. And it's a large watershed. You know, people just think it's just, you know, what you see from your condo. No, it spans from Broward County line all the way to the Keys, and it's quite vast. And many jurisdictions along the way. We have many municipalities on the coastline, as well as state and federal jurisdictions. So it's a lot of collaborative work, but there's a lot of shared responsibility and shared funds, which always makes things a little better when we're looking at, you know, recovery. And, you know, the Biscayne Bay Task Force was very deliberate when we made our recommendations. We included not just gray infrastructure, but also living shorelines and really looking at how nature can help nature, and so to speak, right? So building those in as we move forward, and understanding now that we have the threat of sea level rise and you know, king tide floods that come you know, now more consistently than before, just makes, you know, the work a little bit more challenging. But with challenges come opportunities. And of course, the challenges are, we're dealing with stormwater systems, regional canal system, sanitary sewer overflows and pipe breaks from our aging infrastructure, along with marine debris, and of course the big one, as the mayor mentioned, septic systems, right? And so those are the big lifts that we have to make. But you know, to try to stay optimistic, it's full circle. It's that one water approach that you're always preaching, Hardeep, on how we can attack these issues, you know, full circle, right? In a full circle approach. and really start lowering those nutrient pollution levels. And again, these improvements are investments, right? Investments in our local economy. And we all know, Madam Mayor, we say this all the time, the environment is the economy in South Florida. And so those are jobs. All that is kind of full circle, people, places, profits, and the planet. And so I think that, as we advance in the recovery efforts of the Bay, we're also making our communities more resilient. And of course, collaborating with heat is essential, because as we saw last summer, the fish kill had a lot to do with the high heat, historic high heat levels that we experienced. And so working collaboratively is going to be key. And again, all these infrastructure improvements, whether they're green, gray, or blue, will help our local economy recover from also this pandemic. So, and there's no doubt there's always a return.
Thank you, Arella. I think with that background, the question for Jane as the Chief Heat Officer. Jane, climate change is going to be felt through water, and water is the connector that intercepts all forms of infrastructure that exists. And in your mind, and I know you've just taken this role over, but I know you've been thinking and dealing with this for a long time. How do you see tying the county's vital infrastructure development happen to reduce the overall heat impact for our community? How do we make that happen?
Yeah, thank you, Hardeep. And
thank you, Madam Mayor, for your time.
Thank you, Mayor, and so honored to serve your administration. It is, as Arella said, very exciting time for our community. So I want to start off where Arella left off on the importance of thinking full circle. I mean, even just restoring the Everglades and getting that water flow down through the Everglades and making sure that those mangroves, those grasses are doing what we call evapotranspiration, that will have a cooling effect on our overall region. And it also provides your critical water supply, right? So that's just one, but I want to get to trees. Trees are a critical piece. We have to think of trees as infrastructure. They are part of our infrastructure. Sitting under a tree can be more than 30 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than being in open sun. Trees also have other benefits. They absorb stormwater. They sequester carbon to reduce our carbon footprint. And they reduce stress levels, mental health, their habitat. We need to use living systems to protect our living systems, as Arella had said. So in the county, last time we measured our tree canopy, we were slightly under 20%. And our goal, articulated in the recently released climate action strategy, is to get to 30% tree canopy by 2030. The good news is the county has some good programs already in place that we can accelerate. Million Trees Miami, Adopt a Tree, they've already planted hundreds of thousands of trees. We're going to have an updated tree canopy assessment coming out very soon that our municipalities can use, and concentrating, because even though it may be like 19% countywide, we know that some areas, 5 and 10%, are disproportionately low-income areas and minority neighborhoods. And we need to concentrate our tree planting, shade creating efforts in those areas. And trees do more cooling than even a man-made shade structure, for instance, because of that evapotranspiration. So trees are a key piece of that, and our city partners are also working with us on that, which is great in terms of updating their urban forestry guidelines, their street tree master plans, and doing tree planting themselves. In terms of bus stops, that can be a very dangerous place for an elderly person or a pregnant woman to have to sit in a hot bus stop for a long time. We need not just the hardscape shade structures, but either tree canopy, or even we're looking at trying some green roofs that would be further cooling. In the event of a major power outage, extended power outage, whether it's due to a hurricane or some other event, we need to make sure that all our residents have access, easy access, to a place to go and cool off. This is critical. And we also need to finally look at our housing infrastructure, which is critical from your standpoint, make sure we have energy and water savings, but from my standpoint, to keep those utility costs down while we make sure that people can stay cool in our hottest times of the year. So those are some of the things we're going to be looking at as part of our heat health task force, which will be forming over the summer and coming out with a full plan over the next 6 to 10 months. Thank you.
Outstanding, Jane, and thank you for sharing some of the work that you're planning for in the background, and we just can't wait to see all of that really coming together in the recommendation of the task force. Irela, going back to you, we've talked over time, and you've also advocated, and Jane also mentioned about savings, savings with respect to the use of maybe technologies and innovation. Within the work you're doing, or you're seeing how this ecosystem is coming together from a collaborative standpoint as it relates to our assets. And I know you've talked about maintaining our assets and making sure that we predict vulnerabilities in the future. Could you share some of your thoughts on that and how it relates to the work you're doing with respect to the Bay?
Well, yeah, asset management is one of my pet peeves because, when we have these pipe breaks, these are preventable, especially by contractors, and information is key. And, when we're looking at as-builts that are decades old, it's a problem. And it's a problem when we have access to so many tools, innovative tools already, like, those geospatial and surveying tools that we should be implementing in our as we manage our assets, particularly those assets that are closest to, impaired bodies of water such as Biscayne Bay. I mean, we start there, and and again, those are jobs, future jobs. When it comes to also innovation, we are partnering with our academic institutions, because for example, FIU was instrumental during the fish kill to help us with water quality monitoring and the oxygen levels in the bay with their buoys that are equipped with sensors. I mean, I would love to see sensors all over the bay to help us, track and even give us information before we fall into another potential fish kill or an alga bloom or any other impact. And so I see innovation really in blue tech and green tech very exciting. Your One Water Academy is another vehicle that we can explore a lot of these new tools and innovations. And we're starting to see a lot of these companies coming and setting roots in Miami and really helping us innovate. And again, electrifying our transportation systems will also lower, our carbon footprint and our heat levels. And again, these are it's all interconnected. Everything is interconnected. And so if we look at it that way, and we also see the business opportunities there, I think we can really be the leader here in Miami-Dade County for a lot of these solutions. So that keeps me optimistic and excited. Hey, Madam Mayor, you're back.
Yes, I wanted to pass it on to the mayor if Mayor, you wanted to add anything to what Irela said.
Well, thank you. Yes, I've been listening in to these wonderful ladies and very excited for the vision that they are contributing. And I'd just like to say that we need to have more champions. We need people to understand what is at stake. That's why I'm the water warrior. She's the water princess, and Jane has been doing so much to educate the community through years of work. building ambassadors, right? Children. We need to start young. We need people to understand the incredible uh, necessity of our water. Truly water, it's not just our environment is our economy, but water is life. And we live in a very fragile place when it comes to the water supply, a very unusual source. I've been very passionate about it since serving on the commission, looking at the reuse issues, making sure that we are not just putting water into the boulder zone and not recognizing that it has a higher purpose. So, but we need to educate people about that. And I've been very encouraged by the number of organizations that have sprung up. And we need to do more as a county government. And, not only the institute that you're interested in, Hardeep, but we need to really work actively with our children, with everybody in the community. We've done well when, for example, we've conserved water. We have a very good record through conservation and reducing our water usage, but we need to do more. And so that's what I see as the opportunity. The opportunity is for everyone to become a water warrior and see the future of jobs because of our unique environment and infrastructure. This is truly an economic engine for our community as well.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And going back to your last sentence, and as I look at the panel today, we all know we see many firsts. We see the first mayor of Miami-Dade County, the first woman mayor of Miami-Dade County, the first chief bay officer, also a woman, the first chief heat officer, also a woman. And it's not coincidental that you have landed these spots or these roles. You really worked hard through your careers to land in these positions and to do more. So my question is what should we be doing to encourage and support more women to enter this field of one water infrastructure, right? Which requires engineers and scientists, operators, communicators, planners, financial professionals, administrators, right? It's a whole ecosystem of professionals that come together to really make it happen. So, I'd really love to hear from you. How do we champion that? How do we make it more organic so that it becomes something that just becomes natural into the workforce?
So I'll just contribute a few ideas and then leave it to the others. But in addition to just starting young, we need to make it fun. We need to make it positive, competitive. We have the water poster contest, and the submissions that are put forward by most of the elementary schools are very inspiring. When young people have to illustrate, they learn and they really show that they have gotten it. I'm thinking maybe video games, different apps, sort of citizen science, things that we can design that will get young people engaged in different ways and help. For example, here's a measurement I would love to see: reduction in purchase of water in bottles. Right? It's so within our power. Within county government, I've brought it up, like, really? Do we have to have always plastic water bottles at our events? We have this wonderful quality drinking water that we work so hard to protect, and we want people to use that. And we don't want them to drain our springs, for example, for almost no money, depleting our natural environment in other parts of the state. So I think it's an engagement strategy that really includes communication and fun.
Well, we've got some homework to do. We'll put our creative heads together and come up with some approach for that metrics. So Irela, stay tuned. Jane, stay tuned. We'll get together. But Irela and Jane, would you like to add anything to what the mayor said?
Sure. Do you want to go?
You go first, and then
okay.
I'll go after you.
Yeah, I love the idea of making it fun. When we were at the city, we partnered with Dream and Green and Ocean Conservancy on doing a video contest around stormwater. with high school students, and it really engaged people. And those are great partners: Dream and Green, Clio Institute, FIU Sea Level Solutions with their citizen science, Frost Science. They all have great capacity to come up with fun, innovative ways to teach this material at all levels. And as part of that, the county has supported some of that environmental education through time, as has the South Florida Water Management District. We just need to up our game. We have an action in the Resilient 305 strategy, Action 40, which is around building resilience literacy in the K through 12 that the superintendent signed on for. He's been quite busy with COVID for the last year and a half, but it may be time to revisit and really look at a sequential way to think about, our resilience, our sustainability, our survival, our prosperity is around our water system and its fragility and its success. And so I think, and climate resilience is going to be increasingly a 21st century career skill that's going to be critical, not just here in Greater Miami, but globally. And so we can build on that and export it. And so in terms of on the heat side, I see with the tree planting, we can also, for workforce development, build on our president's idea of bringing back the Conservation Corps. We should do more with job opportunities for young people to get back into conservation type careers. So those are some thoughts.
Jane, if I could just interrupt for 1 second. We're going to be creating some job opportunities and internships right within county government. And we could use your help in identifying those as quickly as possible through our departments. And maybe we create a little cadre of environmental interns this summer.
Awesome.
Can I have one?
That's
yeah.
You bet.
Yeah, me too.
Let Arlene know.
Great news.
I just wanted to add, when it comes to girls and young women, what we're showing here today is exactly what they need to see. They need to see women and visible, successful women in STEM, women working in these fields, and mentor them. That mentoring is key. Most of us probably did not have female mentors growing up, those that are here today. But those of us that can mentor should. And we have so many women that I've met along the way in engineering, architectural, finance, water. They're out there. So we need to just kind of give them the platform and the visibility and be intentional when we have panel discussions and include women in those discussions so that our young girls can see that there are women out there. And to the mayor's point, yes, we need to make it fun and start at a very early age, keeping them engaged and show how purposeful, engaging in these fields is, and how we can really celebrate the discovery of scientific innovations and so forth. Just again, partnering with Girl Scouts, my best partners in the world. They're doing amazing things, and we have, girls impacting through Girl Scouts every day. So that's my plug for getting girls excited about STEM, but really starting at a young age. And I like, Jane, your idea of knocking on the school system's door again on many of these issues, because I think that's key. And again, I'm a proud alumni of Miami-Dade College, and that's another gem of a community asset that we have, and it's human capital that we can certainly bolster our partnerships, because we do have partnerships with, and also a college that is now run by a prominent woman and successful leader in our community. So there's a lot going on when it comes to women and leadership now, and we're very excited about that too.
Thank you, Rella. Great thoughts. Madam Mayor, any parting thoughts before we end this great conversation?
Well, I'm very excited for the future. I know that we're in good hands. And for those who are listening, We want you to be part of this effort, this renaissance of focus on our future One Water. And stay tuned. Very excited. Thank you so much, Hardeep.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So thank you all for this insightful discussion. I really look forward to more opportunities to engage in these meaningful conversations as we share our progress with the communities we serve. And thank you to our virtual audience for tuning in. We invite you to keep following the mayor and Miami-Dade County on social media as well. Thank you all.
Thanks, Hardeep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.